learners. You are welcome to Eko Learners Support for WAEC and NECO candidates. We have biology. I'm sure you are ready with your notes, writing materials, and other things that will be needed.
Eko Learners Support, a support program of the Lagos State Ministry of Basic and Secondary Education for WAEC and NECO candidates.
The topic for consideration is social animals. The topic is social animals. Under this topic, we have the following learning objectives. It is expected that by the end of this teaching, you should be able to define social animals and social insects. Remember, insect is an animal. It's expected that you'll be able to state the features of the different organisms that we'll be focusing on. It will be expected of you to state the habitat of one, a termite, and the second one, a bee, honeybee. These social animals, they have characteristics. You will be able to state all the members, the features, and the functions or the roles performed by these different members of a group. And finally, we will be looking at the economic importance of bees and termites. When we say economic importance, we will be focusing on both the positive side of these organisms as well as the negative side. Did you hear that emphasis? Economic importance is not only negative or in terms of monetary. No, we are looking at the good side and the negative side of the organism. What do I mean by social animals? In a short way, social animal refers to an animal which is highly interactive with other members of its species. Other members of its species. I have this word here. When we use the word species, we are looking at organisms that goes with a population. Species or population, they are able to interact with one another. Characteristics of social animals. Any animal that falls into this group, generally, they have the following characteristics. The first one is they live together. There's this communal living. They live together in what is called colonies. They congregate together, they move together, they do many things in common. Because they do many things in common, they become differentiated into carrying out specific role. And we are looking at that as what? Division of labor. The next features or characteristics of social animals, they show distinct characteristics or caste. We get to know what I mean by that as we proceed with the lesson. Then they communicate with one another within the colonies. Animals, they have a way of communicating to one another. We'll look at some images of these different organisms. Here we have several organisms that the pictures are presented here. The first here is a giraffe. Here we have ants. These ones, they are termites, very common in our homes or environments. Then here we have giraffe. We have, zebra and other animals. There are more. We have several other organisms that fall into the group of social animals. The social insects, what are they? Insect is an animal. Insect, they have their distinctive features. But for this study, we will be focusing on termites and bee. Termite and honeybee. We will be looking at termites, where they live, and the different groups that we have under termites. Termites, basically, where do we find them? In most cases, we look for them in tunnels. We can look for them in dead woods, chambers, under the ground. that is commonly called Termitarium or the ant hill. Possibly you have them in your neighborhood. If you break it on purpose, you are likely going to see the several chambers, several units, small units, where you have different groups. What are the different groups that we have? We have the king, the queen, the winged, reproductive. We have the workers as well as the soldiers. Then the second group that we'll be focusing on is the honeybee. Honeybee, where do they live? What are they? The animals that they live a life of as a community. They live a community-based life. They are equally called social animals. They congregate in their large numbers. Where do they live? Places where we find honeybees, they are called hives. We call them as hives. Then in their own group, the castles that they formed, unlike that of termite that we saw 4 distinctive groups, here they are basically 3. The first is a drone, they have queen, and the workers. We'll be looking at each of these group of organisms one after the other. Here I have structure of bees and their members. Remember I said bees are grouped in 3s. They are grouped into 3. A, we have the drone, which represents the male population. The second one, the queen, which we call the reproductive female. The queen is, like we call queen, the mother. The queen is the one that will lays egg and produces young ones. Then the bulk of the population, that is what we know as workers. And majorly, most of them are female. We have them as females. In these pictures, we have this to represent how a drone, a queen, and the workers looks like. We will try to look at each group and see some of their unique features. We are starting off with the male. What did I call the male? All right, they are the drones. The male organism of a honeybee, they are called drones. The characteristics of drones. The first thing is drones, they have wings. Automatically they are male. Drone signify the male parts or group of the honeybee. When we look at their structure, they have short abdomen. And if you are comparing a drone with a worker, the understanding we have there is a drone, they are bigger in size than the workers. The main role or function of the drone is to mate with the queen. And as they are meeting with the queen, what is expected is what? Fertilization. Fertilizing the eggs. Eggs produced by the queen. That is the main, or this is the main role of the drone. We move on to look at the queen. The queen equally they possess wings. So meaning the drone and the queen, both of them possesses wings. They are fertile. Queens are fertile. They reproduce. A queen is attended to by workers. Workers they are to work. They are bigger than the workers. Meaning what? If you compare the drone and the queen, their sizes, they are bigger than the workers. A queen is attended to by the workers. They provide jelly, royal jelly, which the queen feeds on. What is the role of a queen? The role of a queen, primary role of a queen, is to lay eggs. That is the role of a queen. This is a structure of a drone. They have bigger wings and they are fatter. When you look at the queen, queens are thinner, they are longer. When you look at their shape, they have a longer shape, longer than that of the drone. and they have shorter wings. Meaning the wings of the drone, they are what? Bigger and longer than that of the queen. You can see that the wings of the drone cover the entire body, the abdomen. And when you look at the queen, it covers half of the abdomen in case you are given any of them and you are to identify. Characteristics of workers. Remember we said we classify the castles in three: the drones, the queen, and this is the third group, the workers. Worker, when you look at their sizes, they are smaller than the drone and the queen. We have emphasized that. They are sterile female. They are sterile. They cannot reproduce. They possess eyes and a sting. They have eyes and they have sting. That enables them to carry out their role effectively. They have a modified mouth path. What do they use a modified mouth path for? For two reasons. The first one is to collect nectar. And the second one is they use it in collecting materials which they use in building where they live, which is a hive. Remember we said the bees, they live in hives. So it is the role of the worker. That is their characteristics. Then their legs are also modified for collecting pollen grains from flowers. Pollen grains from flowers. When you read your materials on pollination, you will understand better the concept of workers possessing pollen grains, which enables them to carry out the function of pollination. As a worker develops, its roles as a young worker in maintaining the hives changed to foraging. What do I mean by foraging? Providing food. Providing food for the drone, the queen, as well as the young ones. That is the role or the feature which a worker is known for. Here is a structure of a worker and how their body looks like. Here you can see the mouth parts. It has a long mouth part, proboscis, like you are seeing in where you are looking at mosquitoes. They have a long mouth part called part of the mouth that is called proboscis, which they use in sucking blood. That is mosquitoes. But here we are looking at honeybees. They use their proboscis to do what? To suck. Remember, they must suck. They help to connect nectar, which they use to feed the other members of the group. What else do they possess? They have three small simple eyes. They have compound eyes. The compound eyes enable them to have a wider view of their environment. They have wings at a particular point in their lives that enables them to move or to fly. They have antennae. What do they use that one for? For sensitivity, to feel their environment. They have a head, of course. Their body is divided into three as an insect. They have a head, they have the thorax, and this side we have this is the head, this is the thorax, and the last part is the abdomen. An insect has three body parts. We have in this part the section which they use in collecting pollen grains. Specifically, the role of honeybee centers around the following. The first one is what? Just like a worker in a house. What do? They clean the houses. So here we are not calling it houses, we call it cells, small units of their chamber. So they feed older larvae with honey. They feed the older larvae with what? Honey. What else do they do? They ensure that they clean the nest, the entire place where they live. They clean it. They ensure that the whole area, the whole hive where they live is well ventilated. They do the work of ensuring that ventilation is regular in that area. They carry out another role or function by secreting wax. They secrete wax. What do they use it for? For the building of their hives, where they live, where they find themselves and carry out activities. This concept is very important in the concept of answering questions on adaptation, where they will ask you to mention a structure or a feature and the function. So this one will represent the feature, and building the hives is the function. Then they equally collect the pollen and the nectar. What do they use it for? They use it to feed the young ones. They equally carry out the function of guards. They guard the hive to ensure intruders does not just come to the hive. You can't get to the queen or the drone easily. The workers will attack. That is the role of guarding. Then they process honey and the pollen. The last that we have here, which I have mentioned earlier on, they provide feed for the queen. And what is it? Royal jelly. They ensure that they constantly provide all of this. These honeybee, are they important? Do they play any economic importance? Do they have any economic importance? Are they useful? Or the role they play is not relevant? They are useful. Number one, usefulness of or importance, economic importance of honey bee is the first one is what? They help to pollinate flowers. And I pose a question here. What is pollination? If they help to pollinate flower, what is the meaning of pollination? This is just the transfer of pollen grains that is found in the anther of a male flower to the stigma of a female flower. So bees, they help to carry out this function. Where you see them visiting or coming around a flower, what they are doing is to collect the pollen or the nectars in the flower. The second importance, economic importance that is played by honeybee is they are source of honey. Honey is good for everybody relatively. So when you have a beehive in your premises or your area, you just have to be a bit careful. Remember we said they have sting. They can sting you. But by the end of the day, if you control it well, they'll give you honey. What we have here is what? Source of income to the farmers. When a farmer collects honey, when he extracts the honey from the hives, what is he going to make? He may not use everything. So part of it he is going to sell out. And by the end of the day, he produces what? Generates income to the farmer and his family. Based on the topic that we've discussed today, the following questions are for you to practice. I'll give you just a few minutes for you to go through these questions. Oh, you are welcome back. I'm sure you have you are done with answering your questions. So quickly, let's go through the questions here and my answers. I want you to compare my answers with yours. The first question, going back to the question, you have to what? Define social insects. And what are they? They are specialized. The word used there is specialized group of insects living together cooperatively in a community. They live together cooperatively. Allow me to correct this. living together cooperatively in a community. That is social insects. We are to state 3 features of social animals. Remember, social animals, social insects, they are connected. Insect is only narrowing it down to a special group. Number 1, they live together in colonies. They congregate together. They form a community. Number 2, they show distinct castes or castes. Number 3, they display division of labor. Each one is saddled with a responsibility. We saw when we were discussing the role of the drone, the role of the coin, and the workers. There is division of labor. Each member, they understand what they should do. Then they are able to communicate with one another. The next question that we are to answer says, the habitat of a honeybee. Where do they live? In hives, beehives. That is where they live. The last question says, we should mention the different groups that we have making up the honeybee group. The first one is the drone. What does the drone do? It mates with the queen. That is just its own role. And what about the role of the queen? As the male, the drone mates with the queen, he gets the queen fertilized, and the next thing is what? The queen begins to lay eggs. A queen can lay eggs in its lifetime, over 1,000 eggs. And the workers, what is the role of the workers? Their own is also to ensure that there is abundance of food. They serve the queen, they serve the young ones, ensure that the drone is taken care of, and the well-being of the whole hives is the responsibility of the workers. They even go outside of that to ensure that the different members of the group, they are kept safe. Any economic importance? Number 1, bees. They help in pollinating flowers. And the second one is what? They they provide, it's a good way of providing food to the members of the group and animals, to higher animals like man. And equally, there is the generation or generating funds or money by selling the honey that is produced from the honeybee. With this, I believe you have learned something substantial today. We come to the end of the lesson.
Eko Learners Support, a support program of the Lagos State Ministry of Basic and Secondary Education for WAEC and NECO candidates.
For questions, for clarifications, for observations, you can reach us through the social media handles on the screen. Thank you.